Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about something that people have wanted me to talk about for a while, the Gorirat. Do I know if that's pronounced correctly? I don't know, but I don't care enough to do so. What we're talking about is the explosive capability of the Gorirat. This guy is pretty cool. The way that you end up getting this in particular move on him, which is the megaton explosion, is you have to breed it out of a toka bird. I about called it the tuki. But yes, the toka bird, which this one didn't have my Celestial Emperor on it. I have another one that's somewhere else, but this was used for breeding for the Megaton Explosion. And since Megaton Explosion is specifically a neutral active skill, then that's why we went with Celestial Emperor on this. So breeding that down from Paldius down to a toka bird and then breeding it over to a Gorirat. And once you breed this down, Celestial Emperor that is, to a toka from the Paldius, then basically you breed the toka with either a Rayhound or a Tombat. I think I used a Tombat because I found one that was either a blank or I bred into it to where all I had was legend on it. Regardless, that's how you get your Gorirat. And also when breeding for the Megaton Explosion, you want to take all of the active skills off of the toka bird when you're breeding it and just leave the Megaton Explosion, because that will end up pressing it a little bit easier and make it more likely to transfer. So it wasn't too hard to do that. I was actually surprised at how easy it was, and since it's not an exclusive skill, it was able to be transferred, and that can be done with any skill that is not exclusive to that PAL, which is pretty cool. So the reason why a lot of people like running Megaton Explosion specifically on the Gorirat is because the Gorirat's partner skill reads as such: when activated, unleashes a primal fury that increases Gorirat's attack power. So we're going to be testing this against quite a few things, but specifically I wanted to test this against some of the larger bosses, maybe some tower bosses, to see what kind of damage that we can actually get out of this. The IVs specifically on this are 87 with the attack power, so that could have been a little bit higher, but the health is kind of doo-doo, but we're not too worried about the health because it's going to be going bye-bye very quickly. And with the defense, we really didn't worry too much about it either. Now, later on, I might breed up like a super version of this and try to get hundreds on it, and then also, like, you know, do the whole alpha thing, but time will only tell. One thing as well is that you could run a couple of different bigger PAL skills before you run the Megaton Explosion, but I haven't really figured out how to get them to run specific skills before going after the big one. I thought it was like maybe a trickle down effect, but I've seen them use the bigger skills first sometimes, and I've tried to change up the order in the active skill menu to no avail. So it is what it is. They're going to do whatever they want, so you might get lucky and get them to pull off like a PAL blast before they do the Megaton Explosion, but that's going to be a long shot. But we will put that on there just to see if he does. Ooh, actually, I forgot he does have an exclusive skill with the ground pound, so we'll try that one as well. And we'll switch up the skills where they're at just to see if we can maybe influence their attack order. But so far, after the amount of hours that I've logged into this game, which is 53 days, 8 hours and 55 minutes, I have not been able to do so. Only time that you can control them is if you're able to ride them. So, but nonetheless, as he sits right now, we are at 3,664 health, 1,342 attack, and 607 defense. So we're gonna put some PAL souls into him, see where we're at there. We're also going to be backing him with rib bunnies. So we're going to first go with the 3 rib bunnies, and then when we start doing the tower bosses, we will switch to a 4 stack with the rib bunnies just to see how much power we can actually get and see if we can one-shot some of these tower bosses. It would probably help if I grabbed the Gorirat. After the PAL souls that we put into him, we're sitting at 4,763 health, 1,744 attack, and 788 defense. So the attack power is really what we're looking for, because like I said, one and done, and IVs are not really that great on this one, so we're just kind of going for the attack power, which we got an 87 out of. Not too bad. I feel like anything above 70 you're going to be doing all right with. If you don't have IV glasses, just look at the attack power when they're first born. Usually it'll be between like 110, usually it's like between 110 112. On the higher end ones, it just depends on which PAL it is specifically of how high you can get them. but 109, 110 is pretty high for like the lower end pals that you go for. 107, 106 for like the even lower ones, the like beginner pals. Like for instance, when we did our Fox Parks, which is 100s, he started out at I want to say 107 was the highest there. It may have been 108, but I think it was 107, which is the number to the left there of the attack power. So there is ways to kind of check and see what kind of attack power you're going to be getting out of. As far as health and defense, I'm not too sure on, but one thing that I did focus on before having the IV glasses was that in particular number. With Stallion knock and them, it's going to be like 113 that they're starting out at. So there is like a little bit of a giveaway as far as figuring out what kind it is. Now that is going to open up the range a little bit, but you know it's still going to be higher when it comes to the breeding. When we throw the Gorirat on now with the rib bunnies backing them, we're at 1,966 attack power. So that's pretty good stuff right there. We're also going to feed him a burger, which then puts us at 2,359 attack power. And then added benefit of his partner skill, he wants to go logging, we're not going to make him log, is the partner skill. So if we activate that and we check the partner skill, or check his attack power now, we're at 4,411. So yeah, this is the reason why a lot of people like using this in particular POW for the megaton explosion specifically, because that's a lot of damage.
No, that's a lot of damage.
Takes about a minute to respawn that, but you can always pick it up and throw it back out and it resets it. And just if you were wondering how I did that, you just go over. For me, the drop button is my right stick. Those of you, it'll be in that little corner underneath the party on PC. Most people know what that is, but just like to reiterate that. The first one that we're going to test it on, as always, our punching bag, Blazing Mutt. Yep, he went straight for the megaton. One shot. So yeah, that's not surprising at all. We'll go ahead and reset him, heal him back up. This time we're going to take and switch Megaton and put it at the bottom here and see if that changes the influence in which he goes about attacking. But we're going to test him on Stallion. We'll go ahead and feed him another burger just to top that off. And for some reason, he just doesn't want to attack. We'll reset him. And that time he didn't want to do his partner skill quickly. It looked like he went straight for Megaton anyway. Pretty sure if I pull him back in, it takes it away. Yep, third time's the charm. Yep, he's going straight for the megaton. So yeah, not quite a one hit, but it did catch Stallion on fire. We'll let her burn for a second and see what we're at. So yeah, out of 15,740, dropped about 4,000 HP. So yeah, well, not one hit the old Stallion, but still did a decent amount of damage. Let's see if we can one-shot some tower bosses though. Now we're gonna add our other rib bunny here. They are all 4-starred. Now we're at 5,000. We're at 2,565 attack power. And then when we throw him out, do his little skill, sitting at 4,617 attack power. So we're gonna test him against Lylene. Oh, he's actually doing another move now. Oh, hit her with Pow Blast. There we go. Little gorilla smash. Couple more gorilla smashes. And boom. So that was actually pretty interesting. I didn't expect him to do that many different attacks before he actually did the implosion, but that was good. And for those of you wondering how I am healing him as quick as I am taking and throwing him out into the PAL base area and getting him to go from incapacitated to major injury very quickly instead of waiting that full 10 minutes when you put them into the PAL box when they are incapacitated. And usually when they're laying on the beds, they end up healing pretty quickly. They do pretty quick in the PAL box, so if you really wanted to save the timing on your food buff that you have currently going, then you could take and throw them in the PAL box after they they become 2 major injury from incapacitated. It used to work with the viewing cages, but last time that I tried it with the viewing cages, it didn't work. So they may have patched that one, but this still does work. And feed him another burger. Let's go with a little bit more of a difficult tower boss. See how he does against Phalaris. There he goes. There's a good chunk of damage. Finally, after almost the full length of the fight, he decided to knock him down. We'll finish this off here. So yeah, it did a good chunk of damage, but it did a good chunk of damage. Let's do this. We're gonna take and opt out the Megaton Explosion for Power Bomb. And we're gonna run him as is like this without it. And we're gonna take him against something else. Or Zerk. Or Sek, or Zerk, however you want to call it. I'm going to reset my game. I'm gonna let him kill me. Something odd is going on. One, the tower bosses are able to do multiple moves of like the same power with not having to reset. So let me reset the world real quick. All right, we've reset the world. Seems to be attacking now. The one time that he does Pow Blast and he doesn't have his ult going. At least he's attacking. It's like every time that he gets to do that Pow Blast, he doesn't want to be in his gorilla form. Well, there you have it. So in conclusion, is the Gorirat worth it? As far as his work suitability, he does have a lumbering 2 that he starts out with, which isn't too bad, and a transporting 3. And you can get that mid-game, I think, maybe a little bit before then. Not too hard. They usually spawn up around this area over here. As far as his combat capability, the gorilla attack stuff is pretty cool with it increasing the attack power that much. But at the same time, when it comes to Megaton Explosion, there's only a couple of things that it's really going to work with, and it's going to be on like lower end pals that you're going to be going after, or lower end bosses, I should say. When it comes to the alpha level 50 bosses, he does a good chunk of damage, but doesn't do enough, in my opinion, for him to be considered worth it. Even with a Rib Bunny stack, food, and souls, he still isn't like one-shotting that stuff. If I was going to go with this, then if he was able to knock half the health down, then I would say that it would be worth it, because then you could kind of maneuver around and shoot rocket launchers and stuff. Is this a fun idea? Yes, by all means. It's something that's fun to do, fun to play with, so on and so forth. But as far as realistic applications, I don't think that this is worth it, in my opinion. And some people might not like that, but at the same time, I'm looking at it from the perspective of other pals that are not just, you know, one and done, are able to do a lot more attacks. And even with his other attacks that he does, if you don't do Megaton Explosion on him, then he's not too bad, and he does get a lot of attack power from that, but still it's neutral damage, so you're not getting like double damage on anything. He's not strong against anything as far as the neutral goes, and he is weak to dark pals, so going after Necromus might not be the best of things. And then also going against something like Shadowbeak as well, probably not in the best interest. But all in all, it's fun. It does damage. It's good. But in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. You can get an elkthen deer, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, the deer. You can get the deer with a level 2 lumbering earlier than the Gorirat as well. It's fun to play with, but at the end of the day, there there are better options. And when it comes to the Megaton, you would think it'd be doing a lot more damage, but realistically, it's not, fortunately. Even with being buffed by 4 rib bunnies, food, souls, all that stuff. And 87 attack power is nothing to scoff at either. He did survive. He did get up to a large attack power, but it seemed like it just wasn't enough. Not enough for me to consider it to be a worthy pal, unfortunately. But hey, you want to do it? It's your game. Play the way that you want. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm just here to tell you my opinion on the subject matter and whether, in my opinion, if it's worth it or not. Nonetheless, if you like this video, drop a like on the video. If you guys like my content, drop a sub and write down in the comments below what your opinions are on Gorirat. Other than that, we'll see you guys on the next one. Keep your willy washed. Peace out.